It's all good.
Alright, let me keep this on this side. So that's recording now.
Yeah. And I've got this
So
one.
if I pop this here.
Yeah.
That way it's closer to you too.
Oh yeah, good idea. And then I'll have this here in the middle.
Alright.
So that'll cover us for everything.
Let's do it.
Alright, this is good. Okay, now we're going to take... we can do this.
Take two, there's a long gap between
Yeah,
takes.
that's right. About 10 days. Alright. So, okay, here we go. So, welcome everyone to girlstennis.com.au.
Hello.
This is a very special guest here today, Nathan Martin. He's been the coach or trainer rather of the great Lleyton Hewitt and Sam Stozer and Casey Delaqua, and the people that we know for the moment, and I'm sure there's many more coming. So this is what we're just going to talk about today, is just really about girls tennis and how Nathan fits in with the training of girls tennis and some tips that he might have along the way. So Nathan, just to begin with, what do you find with you when you're training young girls that really want to become a good tennis player?
Look, Alison, I think one of the main probably priorities in regards to their training is just getting them to realise what intensity they should be working at.
Yeah.
And getting them to concentrate during sessions, particularly at a young age, anywhere from around 10 years old. It's quite important that they learn those two fundamentals, because if they learn to concentrate and be more focused during a session, they're going to get probably 20 to 30% more out of the session, which is going to, improve them by those percentages as well.
Yeah. So it's like it's really focused, isn't it? Like it's really.
Yep.
It's good quality training, because I've noticed when you do your sessions, like it's really good quality and just very specific. Yep. It's not wasting time.
Yeah. Well, it's training. Like if someone's learning to focus and really concentrate, and they're training them with intensity and with a plan, that's when you get great results.
Yeah.
If someone's training with a plan and they're focused but they're not training with intensity, they're going to get less of a result. But you combine those three things and you're always going to get a positive result.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of time that's, a lot of the younger girls maybe not realising how hard they can train.
Yeah.
Which, a lot of that is the responsibility of the coach and the trainer to draw that and make them aware of how fast they can move. So, little things like using time, recording them, timing them, doing things, and then maybe even doing it yourself, or saying, look, this is what you could be getting these sorts of times, so that they can start to have something to say, okay, well, there's a goal for me. And once they start to achieve those little time goals, for example, they start to gain a bit of confidence, and then all of a sudden there's your intensity.
No, that's right. And I remember you saying last time when we spoke was about that 1% change every time. And also with the results, like you just said, with the timing, it just gives them a bit of a win every time to see that they're improving. So they get that satisfaction to see that they're going in the right direction.
Sure.
It's great. When you have, say, for example, you have like Casey come, who's probably travelling around now, but when she's coming in here, what do you do with Casey, for example?
Look, Casey normally comes back and she might have like a 10-day or a 2-week block training with us. So just depending on how she's feeling, if she's quite drawn and quite tired, we might have a bit more of a focus on flexibility and core.
Yeah.
If she's coming back predominantly to have a training block with us, and we would sort of plan a 10-day or a 2-week mini periodized program for her, which would consist of, say out of 5 days, we'd probably look at doing 2 strength circuits with her.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of agility sessions and a speed session.
Yeah.
So, we give her a little bit of everything, but you don't want to overload her too much, because if she's training every day and hitting as well and her body's not used to doing that, she's going to get quite sore, and which has its place.
Yeah.
But if she's going to play a tournament 2 days later, you have to be careful with how hard you actually go.
Yeah.
But we try to just do as much as we can, and with all the different, I guess, variables of training.
Yes.
With her when she comes back.
That's when there's, say, a young girl who's watching this now says, okay, well, what would you do to prepare yourself for a match, as far as physically, like stretching, or what sort of program would you suggest for a young girl before, say, playing their local tournament or something like that?
Like for a warm up, or?
Yeah, for a warm up. So not actually, whether on the court. Sometimes I know when I've been at the Australian Open, I see them doing the band work
Yep.
and stuff like that. So
I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do. I mean, if you sit there and watch some of the WTA players warm up, they'll do totally different exercises.
Yeah.
You could have 10 players and
All
each
doing-
one of them does totally different exercises. But the main thing, you know, if you look at a warm up, or what is a warm up, basically you're just trying to increase your heart rate, which is increasing blood flow throughout your body, which helps to, you know, warm the muscle up.
Yeah.
You know, move oxygen and energy around your body, and loosen up the joints. So you know you're releasing you know, synovial fluid into your joints, so they're loosening up as well. So to answer your question, look, I think, you know, a solid warm up should consist of, you know, 5 to 8 minutes of cardiovascular work. So
Yep.
skipping combined with, you know, running,
Yeah.
whether it's around the court on a treadmill before a match or something like that, or a bike. And then, you know, what we call range of motion exercises, which are more targeting the joints of the body, stretching those up, but it's more like a dynamic stretch.
Yep.
It's not like a static stretch where you'd just be holding it. It's actually more of a movement stretch, so you know you'd be opening up certain chains of movement.
Great. Yeah.
And then from there, you know, you can also look at doing some certain activation exercises. So if you know that someone, for example, has weak glute muscles, and you want to get those muscles sort of triggering, so that when people do go out and exercise, that they're going to be more inclined to maybe want to work and keep joints stable.
Yeah.
So then someone could go and do those at that time as well, some of those exercises.
Yep.
And obviously trying to keep the warm up as specific as you can with tennis. So I always like to finish off getting people to do some shadow swings. So just like they're playing a full on point, and just getting them to move, hitting some forehands, some backhands, and maybe get them doing that for 10 to 20 seconds, 3 sets through.
Yep.
Then they're pretty much ready to walk out on court.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, because I know I do see the professions, they do all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes ladder work as well.
Yep,
You see ladders on the court.
Yep.
But no, it's great to have all that variety too, because you never get bored then of, you know, what you can do to warm your body up.
Yeah.
With I know with Lleyton, he's quite intense, isn't he? With his, and quite focused with his training and everything. So that would be that would be great from your point of view to train someone like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
To have someone so focused and be able to make such a big change. And do you find girls have that same intensity, like when they train? Or
Look, I think it's just an individual thing.
Yeah.
You know, like if you compare Lleyton with, say, Casey, they've both got different personalities, and it comes through into their training as well.
Yeah.
It's not saying that they, you know, one's better than the other. You know, they've both got their strengths and weaknesses. So, but I think probably as a, you know, general foresight, I'd have to say probably that the men probably train with a little bit more intensity than the women at this stage.
Yeah.
You know, in saying that, I saw Azarenka training down at the Aussie Open this year, and you know, I was really impressed with not only what she was doing, but the intensity she was training at.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And evidently, you know, she went on to win the tournament, and she was just focused. She was training hard, doing the right things for the right length of time.
Yes.
And obviously that means she's got the right people around her.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know, I think like I said before, I'll go back to it again. A lot of it's just the education. It doesn't matter, you know, what you're doing or what you're not doing. You need the people around you to be able to show you the right things to do and how hard to train. You know, like sometimes I'll get my kids coming in here and I say, what do you do with your coach? And well, they make me do 100 jumps in a row. I mean, no one should really ever do 100 jumps in a row. And that's not all coaches and it's not all trainers, but that does happen, and it does happen in a lot of industries that related to sport. So everyone needs to know their role, and you know, there's a right way to do things, and there's a right intensity to train at, and it's finding that balance that works for the individual.
No, I agree with that. I think really finding the right team of people is really important, isn't it? It's like that's the whole thing with anything really in life, really. But it's just really finding the right team. There's one question I wanted to ask too, was that when as a sport of tennis, from a personal training point of view, what do you see as a sport of tennis for girls as an overall thing? Because from my point of view, I think tennis is an amazing sport, how it offers so many different aspects to it. Like it's got speed, agility,
it's complex,
endurance, it's strength.
Yep.
And can cover like the whole body.
Yep.
To the point where even if you have a sore toe, it affects you, or a sore finger, because it's so you need the whole body.
Everything. Yeah,
you do need everything.
Yep.
So because this is something I'd really like girls and parents to understand why tennis would be a great sport for their girls to play, and also the longevity of it from a young girl through their life, how that will help, say, as they get older, like bone density and all that kind of thing. Would you agree with any of that?
Oh, look, going back to what you just was saying before about the different dimensions of tennis, the physicality of it. It's characterised as a power endurance sport. So which obviously power is things like jumping and hitting the arm or whipping your arm around and doing that repetitively.
Yes.
So you could imagine the effect that would have on your body. It's quite challenging, and it depends on the level that someone's playing.
Sure.
As well as the speed of it and the power that they're generating for their shots. But look, when you look at what's involved with it, well, you've got hand-eye coordination, you've got you need strength to help stabilise the joints and just help enable you to move effectively. You've got speed, you've got agility, you need a lot of core stability, because a lot of it's what we call unilateral loading, so you're just landing on one leg and then driving out of there as well. And then you need the cardio base to be able to maintain all those things for a set amount of time. So pretty much, I can't really think of another sport that has all the dimensions, the physical dimensions of that tennis has. And I mean, basketball is something that's quite similar.
Okay.
But it's a combination almost like between basketball and golf or something.
Yeah, right.
You've got to concentrate, and then you've got someone on the other end of the court hitting a ball back to you.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's very, a very complex sport, but if you can look at it like that, and I think a lot of science-based people will be, this is pretty challenging sport, and then you get people that just go and play, and it's just more natural to them.
Yeah, very true, very true. What do you think about netball in comparison? I mean, it's a different sport anyway, because it's a whole different set of rules, but I guess sometimes netball and tennis can be compared from a point of view of just movement, like there's about there's 5 or 10 metres movement you kind of have in that sort of area, but it may not have the same dynamics as tennis, with the jumping up, although you can jump up.
Definitely, like some of the movement patterns are similar, and a lot of tennis is about transition from shot to shot.
Yes.
And how people effectively do that.
Yes.
As well. Like we were saying before, if you haven't got good strength throughout your body, particularly transitioning from one shot, say from a wide forehand, you're trying to get back to the centre of the court, and you're planting that foot out. If you haven't got good strength through your body, particularly through your leg and that chain of movement, you're going to struggle to get out of there and get back at the speed that you really need to.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you.
No worries.
Have we got enough for time? Any more time?
Yeah. You'll go keep going for a couple of minutes.
Okay, good. I can edit all this out. No, that's great, because with parents, I particularly find that it's important, because obviously a lot of parents themselves may not have played tennis, or they would have touched on it as a young person, but may not have a child. They might even have a daughter right now who really wants to push and excel and go that little bit further, and maybe need to know that this sort of information that you're giving now is maybe what they could help their daughter with.
Yep.
And I mean, of course, they can come and see you. You're based here in Sydney, in Bondi Junction, and we'll give Nathan's details too at the end, so you can contact Nathan, and I'm sure you would be more than happy to help anybody in that area.
Sure.
And but it's just, I think it's a very for girls, I think it's very particular. It's different sort of, maybe fundamentals are the same as boys, but there's a different, like you said, a mental attitude, and there's different things to handle with girls, and also they have different changes with their body than boys do, and I think it's all catering and catering for all of that. And but for girls, what would you say? Anything, from say, as a young person, even like young kids, like 5 or 6 year olds. I mean, getting them to do skipping and dynamics and changing direction, all that sort of thing would work.
Yeah, look, at a young age, coordination, balance, and movement are important. You are limited a little bit in regards to their strength training.
Yeah.
You can get them to do, you know, still their body weight exercises, so still squatting, lunging, you know, they can start to be introduced to like push-ups and things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of band work.
Oh, yep.
But yeah, like at that age, they're still, you know, really developing. So you want to keep, you know, the work quite light for them. That's why like the coordination and all those sorts of things those sorts of exercises are important for them to do. But, you know, particularly with women, like I think, you know, in the past there's been a little bit of a stigma about women and strength training or weights training. You know, and I mean, up until, you know, the age of 16, you know, you don't really want to be using too much load with your training for females. But once they sort of get around, you know, 16, 17, 18, it is quite important to be able to start challenging their strength and developing their strength. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do that, but it is important that I think, you know, women and you know, teenagers or girls start to understand that it's a really important facet of any athlete and their performance is to have a really good strength base. It offers probably, you know, more than any other physical dimension, so more than, you know, if you've got good strength, you know, you're going to be okay. If you've got, you know, good endurance or whatever, your body's still going to be, you know, get challenged. The strength is probably the most important thing, and it's something that it's quite simple to do and it's quite simple to develop. As long as, you know, people learn the basic movement patterns, or what we call the primal movement patterns, which are like a squat, a lunge, a pushing, pulling, and rotating. As long as they learn how to do those fundamentals properly, then they can start to load, and they're doing it with the right biomechanics, they're challenging the right muscles, and the body responds, because the body adapts not only quickly, but you notice the adaptation, you notice the strength,
definitely,
and it reflects on the court.
Definitely. That's really good to answer that question. That was one of my questions, which was, you know, what age do you think a girl should start doing weights? Because there is such a lot of different viewpoints on that. But that viewpoint you just said now was exactly the one that I was told now 20 years ago or more. You know, and that's the stable thing. And I know from my point when I started training like that too, it really, from that age, it really did help get that strength that you needed, you know, for the game. So that was great. So so is there anything else that you can think of that you might like to say?
Look, I think just going back to what we initially discussed, I think if, you know, people out there, and if you know, you're a young teenager or, you know, a seasoned tennis player, you know, you just need to look at, there's always a right way and a wrong way to do things. I guess anything in life, and it's all about the people you get around you or the people you're getting help from or advice from. And there's a lot of resources online now. You know, people can research different ideas and things like that for their training. So, you know, train, first of all, you know, train with a purpose, have a target, reach that target with intensity, okay, and stay focused during the session. And I think those three things, it's almost like a, you know, it's like a fail-proof, you know, formula or method. So, you know, and it's, you know, otherwise we just end up going around in circles.
No, that's really good, because for the young girls that are out there and anyone who wants to become a better player, even as a professional, they are those three things that are stable, aren't they? No,
and look, any parents out there also that, I think, you know, a lot of tennis parents cop a lot of flack from other parents and coaches and trainers and just other sports as well. You know, and there are parents out there who spot on and do the right thing, and there's like any sport, there's going to be parents out there who are over the top or maybe don't really put in enough. And everyone's got, I guess, got their restrictions and things like that, financial and time restraints and things like that. So, you know, it's important to try and source a good team and get advice from the right people. And
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
that's
and there's a point where parents should say, okay, that's Alison's role, that's Nathan's role. My role as a parent is, I guess, to provide food, safety, and support.
That's right.
And input with the people in the team,
Yes.
what they're seeing and what they're feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and not, I guess, trying to implant things in their children's head like, you know, you should be running harder, you should be doing this and that. That's really the responsibility of the coach and the trainer. And although you're getting paid to do those things, it's a relationship between the parent and the team, and trying to get them to understand, well, this is why we're doing this now and that's why we're doing that. So, you know, parents, don't be afraid to ask questions, because it's very, very important, and don't be afraid to be involved. But, you know what everyone's boundaries are. Yeah,
no, that's great. I really support that too, and I think as a coach myself, I really do like that interaction with the parents, but just as you said, where everyone understands their role and they can respect each other's viewpoints from that. And I think and then you set those agreements up, I think you're just going to have a great team, and you're going to work really well together.
Definitely.
Yeah, and there'll be no lines crossing, and if there's any issues to handle, then we can all sit down and talk about it, and you can actually sort through it without having any, you know, major communication breakdowns, where then in the end it's the child that actually suffers from that. So it's great to have the whole team work together. Yep. Yeah, it's a winning combination. It's good. Yeah. No, that's great. Thanks, Nathan.
No problem, guys.
I think that everyone, if you'd like to see Nathan's website, it is
www.energizehealthmanagement.com.au.
That's right. So we'll put that up on the screen, and I'll put it underneath the video too, so you can click on it, and you might like to liaise with Nathan if you've got any questions.
Sure.
And
feel free, guys.
Yeah, it'd be great. That'd be really great. So thank you for your time, and thanks for your time too.
No problem, Alison. Pleasure.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Cool. That was 22 minutes.
So easy.
Thank you, Nathan. Great.